What up, ladies and gents? Dr. Ray here, founder of the Learning Liaisons. In this quick video, I'm going to go over a mini practice set on professional ed type questions. So if you're a Florida teacher, this is your professional ed test. If you're one of our Praxis peeps, this is your teaching and learning exam. TExES peep, this is your PPR. Heck, if you're watching from California, Illinois, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, wherever, and you're like, well, this is great, but where's my test? Good news, it's all the same. It's all the same skills and competencies. They're just different titles on it. So stay tuned. We're going to jump into some practice questions. I'm going to give you a couple of pro tips. But before we do that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this video at the end. Let me know what you think and what kind of videos you would like to see here at the Learning Liaisons. So let's get to it. All right, so before we jump in and really dive into some practice questions here, a couple quick directions. Number one, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to tackle each of these questions. They're going to come on the screen. I'll give you 60 seconds. There's going to be a timer on the screen as well to keep track. So I'm going to do the heavy lifting for you. You don't have to hit pause. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Just hang out, relax, focus on the question, get it done. At the end of the 60 seconds, I'm going to go over each and every one of these questions in detail. I'll give you some inside tips, analyze, obviously, not only what the right answer is, but more importantly, the why behind why it's correct and why the other answers are wrong. So this is going to take your study guides to a millionth level here because they don't give you this kind of stuff in that book. All right. Now, last but not least, a lot of people want to download these slides on these practice sets on our YouTube channel. If you want to download the slides to take notes on, go ahead and you can stop right now and do that if you want, or after when you're done. All you got to do is text the phrase PROED set 1, just like on the screen. Pro Ed set 1 to that phone number, 407-269-8829. Now, that's not our office number, so don't try to call it. It's a text message system that we use for videos like this to send you documents. It's just going to ask you what your email address is and what your first name is, because we're going to fire off that email to you within a couple of minutes. All right, you ready to go? Let's do this. All right, here's question number 1. I'm going to read it to you. All right, you ready? A middle school science teacher notices that a student's grades are a little lower than usual since class began a chemistry unit. To best facilitate communication with the student's parents, the teacher should A, encourage the student to discuss the issue with parents. B, wait for the parents to initiate contact about a concern. 3, or I should say C, right? Include a note to the parents in the next progress report. Or D, call the parents as soon as possible regarding the matter. I'm going to give you 60 seconds right now, and then we'll reconvene and break this question down. Ready to go? Let's get it done. All right, welcome back. So I hope you wrote your answer down. Let's dissect this question. Now, you're probably thinking, what the heck is going on? Where's the question? Now, you already saw the question, so you know what it was, right? But let's pretend that you did it. I'm going to give you, there's a lot of different strategies that we teach in our video courses on our website. I'm going to give you a couple quick pro tips here that you can take with you as you study, and hopefully we'll see you in our courses. If not, you could drop some questions in the comments below. So here we go. I'm going to not look at the question first. We're going to pretend right now that we didn't see it. I'm going to read each of these answer choices. Just follow me here. Encourage a student to discuss the issue with the parents. Wait for the parents to initiate contact about a concern. Include a note to the parents in the next progress report. Call the parents as soon as possible regarding the matter. So here's your pro tip that we're going to emphasize in this video. One little strategy here. Number 1, I'm going to look for what I call the keywords and phrases, aka the verbs. All right. So first word is encourage. Let me grab a pencil here. Encourage. I'm going to think to myself, all right, encourage what? Encourage to discuss the issue. Follow me here. Wait what? For parents to initiate contact. Include what? Include a note to the parents. Call what? Call the parents as soon as possible. See what I did there? Verb followed up by the process. Encourage what? Discuss the issue. Students discuss the issue. Wait what? For parents to initiate contact. Include what? A note to the parents. Call what? The parents as soon as possible. Now, let's take a step back here. Now, if you're an educator right now watching this and you've been in the classroom for a couple of years, right? I know maybe for the college students who are passing this exam to graduate and then get a job, this might be a little harder for you to look at and see, but maybe you did anyway. But my current classroom teachers, there should be one answer choice that you know right away, oh, heck no, I didn't say the word, oh, heck no, that can't be the answer. Want to take a guess? I'll give you a couple seconds. Guess which letter. Shout it out right now. I'll put it, well, not put, you could put it in the comment box too. But which letter would I cross off and be an outlier immediately for my classroom teachers? I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Well, right away, let's grab a different color. Right away, this one is gone. That could never be the answer to this question, right? Wait for the parents to initiate contact about a concern. Hey, Johnny's failing. He keeps getting failing quizzes from me or failing tests. But I'm not going to contact the parents. I'm going to wait for them to contact me. No. Now, some teachers might think, well, what's wrong with that? Any type of behavior, whether it's grade or discipline behavior in the classroom, whether you're interacting with a student right there in the classroom for a class behavior, grades, the answer is always immediate, right? You don't wait for the parents. I'm going to wait for them. No, they're going to call you 9 weeks later and say, why did my kid fail? Right? I'm being very transparent here. You teachers know what I'm talking about, right? I taught the classroom a long time. So that answer cannot be wrong. There's another one that she actually should be popping out to you like, look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at number, or I should say number, letter C. Include a note to the parents in the next progress report, right? You might be thinking, well, that one's okay, Dr. A. I probably need to read some more information. Well, I'm going to direct you to choice A then. Encourage a student to discuss the issue with the parents. Just think about it. You don't need to know the question to pretty much know what the answer is right now. And I know I'm doing a lot of talking and analyzing, but these are the things that go on your head that help you focus out what this question is going to be about before you even get to it. Encourage a student to discuss the issue with parents. Now, I don't care if the question's about grades or discipline in the classroom. Think about when you were in middle school or elementary school, even high school. If there was a concern and the teacher said, I want you to go home and talk about this with your parents or guardians, I'm like, no, right? And you remember the question was middle school, but regardless of the grade level, it doesn't matter, right? You can't just assume that a kid's going to go home and talk about it. But if you don't feel like jumping off that ledge right there, we'll just stick with B as an answer that we would cross off immediately. So now let's look at the question, right? So I crossed off, let's grab that color again. I crossed off the B. I think it's safe to say the consensus, you guys watching this video, that B is definitely an outlier. There's no way that can be the answer because we know we have to deal with things right away as teachers. So let's read the question now. Grab a different color. A middle school science teacher notices that a student's grades are a little lower than usual since the class began a chemistry unit. To best facilitate communication with the student's parents, the teacher should what? Now, before we start jumping to conclusions on what the answer is, just stay with me here, giving you some pro tips. We did the keyword and phrase in the answer choice. Remember that? Encourage, include, call. We're going to do the same thing in the question. Watch this. Notices. Notices what? That grades are a little lower. Okay? So, middle school science teacher noticed that the students' grades are a little lower than usual since the class began a chemistry unit. To best facilitate with the students' parents, facilitate communication with the students' parents, the teacher should do what? Now, they're lower than usual since the class started. Now let's look at the one we crossed off, B. Do we wait to initiate contact until the parents are concerned? Of course not. We started the class, we started a unit, and notice if their grades are a little longer. We don't want to wait because that'll jeopardize their long-term effects on this. All right, great. What's another letter that we can cross off? Well, let's go back to A, the one that kind of made you look at a little bit before we got up to the question. A cannot be the answer either. Encourage a student to discuss the issue with parents. Hey, Johnny, I know you're slipping a little here. I want you to go home and talk about this with your parents or guardians. Maybe we can come up with a solution. Do you think that student is going to go home and talk to their parent? Maybe, maybe not. Even if they did, then they're going to contact you and want to know why didn't you just contact me immediately? So A is not the best answer. So that leaves us to C or D, right? So let's look at this. Let's look at C. Include a note to the parents in the next progress report. Well, there's two problems with that. Number one, if there's an issue, just like I've been saying, it's got to be an immediate response. Get on the phone, contact. If it's email is better, but typically shouldn't be emailing about grades. So you want to call them on the phone. Immediate. Well, C says include a note in the next progress report. Think about that. We're starting the beginning of the unit. That could be a long time from then, right? Even doubling down on that fact is if you send a note home with a middle school student, are they going to deliver the note? I know I'm not trying to say bad things about middle school students, but we have to think realistically here. What is best practice, right? So C is gone. Well, call the parents as soon as possible regarding the matter as the last one. If you picked up what I said at the beginning, we're looking at those keywords. Any answer on your professional ed style test that talks about behavior, it could be grades or discipline. Answer is always immediately. I cannot stress, I don't care what the scenario is. I don't care what the answer choices are. The answer choice that talks about immediately or as soon as possible, any other variation of that, bam, that's the answer right away. Even those questions about, Johnny is shouting out or misbehaving in the back of the room, what's best practice for the teacher to stop the misbehavior in the classroom? And they'll say things like call Johnny's parent after school, call out Johnny in the middle of the class, or stop what you're doing and pull Johnny aside and discuss that. Always immediate. Cannot stress that enough. All right. Good job. Let's move on to the next question. At the end of each grading period, Ms. Wu, an elementary school teacher, has students review their academic portfolios, which include a variety of assignments from all content areas. For each content area, she asks students to identify in their work one specific strength and one area that needs improvement. And using the strategy, Ms. Wu is primarily helping students develop which of the following? We've got interpersonal skills, goal-setting skills, organizational skills, and problem-solving skills. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to dissect this question on your own, and then we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Same routine. I know you saw the question, but we're going to pretend right now. We're covering that question. We'll look at the answers first. Interpersonal skills, goal-setting skills, organizational skills, or problem-solving skills. Remember my pro tip. Look at the action word. Look at the keyword. Well, there is no action word. So we got concepts here. So let's dissect these words. Now, here's a second tip for you. If you don't know what a vocabulary word means, or you're not 100% sure on this exam, on your exam, I don't care what certification exam, but we're talking about your PPR, Pro Ed, PLT, whatever. Take it outside the classroom. What does that mean? Interpersonal. Don't just think in the confines of your school environment, a classroom. What does interpersonal mean? Where have you heard that? Think of interpersonal, interstate, right? If you think about interstate highway, You know the meaning of 99% of words on this exam. I don't care what you think, you're smart. We got to pump the brakes, take a step back, look at the root word, look at the word. We don't have context clues here. Just take it outside the classroom. So interpersonal, well, there's interpersonal and there's intrapersonal, right? Interpersonal is probably the easiest one. That's between people, right? Interpersonal relationships, you're friends with colleagues, friends, whatever. Intra is within. Goal setting. Well, think about, what do we set goals? Well, we have certain skills or accomplishments we want to make, and we've got to hit them. If we don't hit them, then we got to see what we did wrong and fix it. So just a goal in general. Now, I'm sure you heard goal setting in school, but like I keep telling you, take it outside the classroom, make it a lot easier for you, right? Your goal is to pass this exam, right? You got to do X, Y, and Z in order to get that. You got to study X, Y, and Z in order to get there. If you don't, you got to reassess and see what you did wrong and improve on it. Same philosophy. Organizational skills. Take it outside the classroom to be organized. What does that mean? Could be color coding your clothes at home. Who knows? I don't do that. Maybe some people do. Maybe you do. Having a binder with tabs, highlighting, certain note-taking techniques. How do you organize your garage or your classroom or your drawers? That's it. Organizational skills. Not necessarily about learning. It's about organizing. Two different things. Problem-solving skills, right? Think about problem-solving, critical thinking, right? Giving clues, trying to find the answer out. Think about, when I think of problem-solving, like outside in the real world, you got to get to a goal and figure out how to get to it. You have limited resources. They give you what you need to kind of figure it out. Kind of like a puzzle, right? Different pieces, bring it together to find the end result. In the classroom, when it comes to problem-solving skills, I usually think about science class, right? They give you the experiment, what you need to do, and you got to figure out an answer to that. So we got a lot of things going on here, but we need to think about the basics here. Between people, personal goals, right? Achieving certain things, being organized, or figuring things out on your own. Now let's take a look at that question again, because you saw it before. So at the end of each grading period, Ms. Wu, an elementary school teacher, has students review what? Their academic portfolios, which include a variety of assignments from all content areas. For each content area, she asks students to identify in their work one specific strength and one area that needs improvement. And using this strategy, Ms. Wu is primarily helping students do which of the following. Pretty simple here. I know you guys think, what do you talk about simple, right? Review academic portfolio. Now let's pump the brakes here for a second. Let's say this is the actual exam, or you're taking a practice test, you're like, I'm not sure exactly what an academic portfolio is. Well, I know what academics means, learning and grades. I know what portfolio is, a range of different things, put them together. But in actuality, it literally says it here. It says what it is. So don't freak out and go, oh my God, I don't remember what that is. I don't remember on the flashcard what that means. Side note, don't stress yourself out with flashcards. Remember, if you could tell so far that I don't really need to know the definition of the concept, I need to be able to apply it to a scenario. And we got some more questions to do here, but I'm just kind of introducing a couple little pro tips here for you. All right. So review their academic portfolio and ask them to identify their one specific strength and one area that needs improvement. All right, this is easy now. Think about it, right? Don't freak out. Interpersonal. Are we talking about between students? No, we're talking about your grades, this student's grades. Gone. Problem-solving skills. Are we given a bunch of different things and have to come up with an answer? No, it's literally talking about a portfolio. There is no finding out answers. It's you did good or you did bad. Done. So it's down to either B or C. Well, organizational skills. Are we organizing things? No, we're talking about grades. We're talking about assignments. So there's only one logical answer, and that answer is B. All right, there you go. Bam. Now, I know you're thinking right now, oh my God, this is so easy. Well, it's easy. One, you might think some of them are easy. I'm going to give you some harder ones too, right? So but Dr. A, the first one was hard, right? I'm here to help you. I just want to give you a couple quick pro tips here. There's a lot more to easily narrow down answers. You could get into a place that you actually know the answer to the question without even reading the question. You could do that on about 80% of this test. but you got to learn all the skills. And I've got those for you. We're just going to do a couple of quick ones here. We go in a lot more extensive detail in our video courses there for you. But I know that you're getting some great information out of this because I could see you smiling through that camera right now. I'm kidding. I'm not watching you. So I don't want to creep you out. So goal setting skills, bam, answer. Let's go to the next question. To ensure that an end of unit assessment accurately measures what first graders have learned, a teacher should include which of the following in the assessment process? Opportunities for students to compare their scores to the scores of other students in the class, guides for students to implement goal setting strategies, is that word again, a preview of concepts and materials for the upcoming unit, or a variety of ways for students to show their understanding. I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Remember the things I've been talking about. We're focusing on one little skill here in this video. So I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Get to it. All right, welcome back. Well, let's tackle this bad boy. So opportunities for students to compare their scores to the scores of other students in the class, guides for students to implement goal setting strategies, a variety of concepts and materials for upcoming unit, and a variety of ways for students to show their understanding. So action words, remember, keywords and phrases. Compare what? Their scores to the scores of other students in class. Well, that should be jumping out to you. Like, what does that mean? You guys ever heard of the word norm referenced? Norm reference assessment? Well, that's what that is right there. Guides for students to implement goal setting strategies. Implement what? Goal setting strategies. A preview of concepts and materials for upcoming unit. A preview of what? Concepts and materials upcoming. That's a key word there too, obviously. A variety of ways for students to show their understanding. So we have comparing scores, implementing goal setting strategies, a preview of concepts and materials, and showing understanding. All right. Now that we got those concepts, so comparing, implementing, previewing, and showing. That's literally the only words I need to know here. Watch. Compare, implement, preview, show. Let's take a look at this question. Again, because you saw it before. So to ensure that an end of unit assessment accurately measures what first grade students have learned, a teacher should include which of the following in the assessment process. All right. So we didn't cross off any answers before because there's not always an outlier. We needed more information. So to ensure what? End of unit assessment. So now our brain should go right to what an end of unit assessment, like summative assessment, right? Accurately measures what? What they have learned. The teacher should include which of the following assessment process. So this really isn't that important. It's like one of those most effective, least effective. We don't have to worry about that right now. So to ensure end of unit assessment measures what they have learned right here. This is it. What they have learned. We're talking about an assessment that measures what these kids, I don't care if it's first grade, 10th grade, 5th grade, doesn't matter. 90% of the time on your exam, on this type of exam, the grade level is really irrelevant. There's some minor examples of where it is. When you talk about learning theorists and cognitive development, like if you have questions about Piaget and at the stages of development, you have grade levels, that's different. But that's on a minuscule amount of questions. For the sake of our discussion here, the grade level really is irrelevant on 90% of these questions. So don't let that throw you. All right, so to find out what kids have learned, well, let's take a look at these questions now. these answer choices. So I know it's a pencil and it erased on the previous slide, but we talked about comparing scores. Well, does that have anything to do with what they learned? No. Guides for students to implement goal-setting strategies. Now, if we're implementing goal strategies, wouldn't that be at the beginning, right? We're talking about the end here. They already did their assessments. We want to see what they learned. It's too late for goal setting. Goal setting is more predominant at the beginning, right? So now we're down to B, C or D. So preview of concepts, materials for the upcoming unit. Well, we're talking about what they have learned. Why the heck do we care about the upcoming unit if we're worried about if they learned anything on the last unit, right? Common sense here. So we're down to one letter, and the only one left is D, a variety of ways to students to show their understanding. Now, across the gamut, I don't care if it's PPR, PLT, PED, whatever professional ed test acronym you want to throw out there, whatever state you're in, if those don't apply to you. Learning is all about showing a variety of ways that kids understand in the classroom, right? So research-based in the classroom is not just drill and kill on one exam, have a multitude of portfolio like in one of the previous questions. Now, if we do a 30,000 level look down from a plane on school, right, 30,000 feet perspective, as a school, that changes. As a school, it's more of a mastery criterion reference assessment. But we're not talking about a school. We're talking about an end-of-unit assessment in a classroom, right? So I want to show how they learned in a multitude of ways. So good job. Let's keep up the good work, and let's move on to the next question. All right, we're on question number 4. This is a long one. So a first grade class will be using independent workstations. The primary purpose of the station is to create an environment in which students select projects to work on, complete their projects, and share what they have learned. Even though the teacher has planned what the students will do at the stations, some students are still unsure of what to do. That never happens. Which of the following actions would best help the students understand how to use workstations to become independent learners? Is it A, posting student performance criteria for the station projects? Have B, having student volunteers role play how to work in the stations? C, listing expected student behaviors for working in the stations? Or D, develop a rubric for students to use in assessing the quality of the projects? I'm going to give you 60 seconds to dissect this question. Let's get to it. All right, welcome back. Let's get at it. So remember, I covered that question. Now I know you saw it, but it's a little different. I want you to practice this stuff on your own and not read the question first, cover it, all right? So A, posting student performance criteria for the station projects. Having student volunteers role play how to work in the stations. Listing expected student behavior for work in the stations. And developing a rubric for students to use in assessing the quality of the projects. All right? Now watch this. Remember, we looking at those action words, the verb, right? I call them the keywords and phrases as part of the big strategy we teach in all of our courses. So keywords and phrases. Action word, posting. Posting what? Student performance criteria. What does that sound like to you? Posting student performance criteria. Criteria, a set of skills, standards. Kind of sounds like a rubric, right? Doesn't that sound like a rubric to you? Posting what they need to do for the workstations. Having having what? Student volunteers role play how to work. That's pretty easy. Listing expected student behavior for working in the stations, and developing what? A rubric for students to use in assessing the quality. All right. Now, there's a couple things I need to point out here. And hopefully some of these things, based on our conversations or short conversations so far, are jumping out to you right now. Number one, A is discussing a rubric. So student performance criteria, how the students have to perform. D, developing a rubric for students to use in assessing the quality of their projects. Do you agree that it's safe to say that A and D are both talking about rubrics? Now, A doesn't say the word rubric, but a student performance criteria, basically a set of standards or skills that they have to achieve, perform at. Well, that's basically, in other words, describing a rubric. Well, guess what? If you've got two answer choices on your professional ed, your pedagogy exam like this, and they're both talking about the same thing, do you think that one of those can be right? Just ponder that for a second. Absolutely and positively no, because they're both talking about the same thing. They're just using different words. So guess what? That can never be the answer. Hopefully you're sitting there like, OMG, Dr. A, where have you been my whole life? I'm here to help you. This is my specialty. I taught all these courses for 10 years at the University of Central Florida. I love these exams. That's what I do every day. I'm here for you. But mind you, this is small little pro tips I'm giving you. It's a lot bigger picture going on here, so stay with me. So I crossed off 2. So now I have role playing. Nope, I'm going to try to keep somewhat the same colors here. I have students, volunteers role playing how to work in the stations, and listing expected student behavior. Now, I'm not going to blow your mind too much in this short little video, but let's take a step back, right? Let me take a step back on crossing off A and D. I'm saying too much right now, right? I'm going to blow your mind. Your head's just steam's going to come out. Look at A, B, and D. A, B, and D are all talking about learning, right? Performance, role playing, like how to do work. And D is talking about rubrics again, right? Look at C. C is talking about listing this expected student behaviors in the workstations, right? It's talking about behavior. Now, yes, behavior is important. We have to set procedures and expectations, good classroom management. But the other ones are talking about teaching and learning, right? Performance data, rubric, volunteers role playing, like showing other people how to do things, right, in the workstation. C is talking about behavior. Now, I know you might argue and say, well, Dr. A, B could be argued that it's talking about behavior. It's talking about how to work, but it doesn't say how to behave or procedures. It could be doing the activity, right? Reaching those skills. We don't know, but specifically C talks about behavior. So really, like I said, I want to blow your mind too much in this short little video. I would actually also cross off C as well. And you're thinking, well, what the heck, Dr. A? That leaves you with one answer. So let's take a step back there. I don't want to confuse you too much in this short little video. We got a lot more stuff to come here. All right, so let's go back to before. Then, but we cross those both off because they're both talking about rubrics. Let's take a look at the question now. A first grade class will be using independent workstation. The primary purpose of the station is to create what? An environment which students select projects to work on, complete, and share what they learned. Even though the teacher has planned what they will do at the workstation, some students are still unsure about what to do. Which of the following actions would best help the students understand how to use workstations to become independent learners? Now, a lot of people go, well, independent learners, if I don't know what that is, I'm done. No, it's just a fancy word for doing things on your own. It's really irrelevant here. So let's look at these action words. Create an environment in which they select projects to work on, complete, and share. Plan what they'll do at the stations, but some students are still unsure. What's the best practice here? So let's go back to our answers that we crossed off first, right? We crossed off 2 answers that talk about rubrics. Now, what do you think? Do you think it's fair that I cross those off now? Yeah, of course it is, because we're not talking about how to grade them in performance, right? We're talking about how to get the work done. How do kids do stuff on their own? So it's a flip of a coin right now. What do you think it is? B, have volunteers role play to work in the stations, or C, listing expected student behaviors for working in the station. Now, if you want kids to do, let's think logically here, right? Because all these questions are all based on research based, right? What your state. So if you're PPR, what's the state of Texas see as most important in the classroom, i.e. research based. Same thing with Florida, same thing with Praxis, whatever state you're in. So we're talking about kids want to be independent learners. They're unsure what to do. We need to make sure that they understand what's going on. So do you think that listing expected student behavior, like listing the rules of what to do, is going to help someone understand? No. Let's take a step back to the whole research-based aspect of this exam. Any type of learning, whether it's procedures or academics or anything, we all know based on research that peer interactions are the best. This all goes back to Lev Vygotsky and zone of proximal development. This all goes back to the ideology behind scaffolding, which those two kind of go together, built off of one of another. It's all peer. So on this exam, here's another pro tip for you, right? On this exam, you want to look at these action words, like I'm saying, having volunteers role play, right? Any type of answer, I don't care if it's learning, procedures, whatever it is, it's always going to be peer to peer is best, right? So in this case, role playing, right? That is peer to peer because you have volunteers showing how to do things the right way, peer to peer. So that's why our answer here is B, and it always will be B in any scenario question on your exam that talks about best practices for learning in the classroom, peer-to-peer, or procedures like this when becoming independent learners, peer-to-peer, i.e. role play. So side note, remember, anytime you see role playing or peer interaction as your answer choice, that's going to be your answer 99% of the time. All right, we're down to the last one, question number 5. I know we're only going 5 questions, but let me know in the comments below what you think about this, because it's not about memorizing what these words mean. It's about contextual understanding, knowing what the concept means in a scenario. That is the key here on this exam. I don't care if you could tell me, I can't tell you how many people can tell me the definition of 200 concepts that might be on this exam, but if you put it in a scenario, heck, everything's out the window and they don't idea what's going on. They're going to ask you what's independent learner, what is role playing, what is direct instruction, who is Lev Vygotsky. They're not going to ask you that stuff point blank. They're going to paint the picture in a scenario, and you have to be able to synthesize and analyze and apply that concept to real life situations. That's what makes you pass or fail on this exam. It's all about strategy. I'm just giving you a couple little tips here. Great job. That was a lot of talking for just 5 questions. I just wanted to give you a couple little pro tips on what to look for. And these same tips can work for any of your certification exams. But please be mindful. This is just a small piece of the pie. We specialize in giving you the strategy that you deserve to pass your exams, because you don't need to stress about knowing all the content. Yes, I literally just said that. You don't need to know all the content for your professional ed test, your PPR, your PLT, whatever acronym you want to use for your state. It doesn't matter. Yes, you need to know some content, of course, duh. But strategy is key, and that's just one of about 10 different tips that I go over in our courses there. So great job. So always remember, passing your certification is all about 3 things. You got to know about your test, number of questions, time limit, percent to pass, how many questions right you need to get to pass, all the concepts and skills that are going to be on it, right? 2, you need to have proven test-taking strategies. You don't want to stare at questions for 3, 4, 5 minutes with the sweat bead forming. I've been there. I've been through these exams. I know how it feels, and I'm sure you've been in those shoes as well. You need to know how to tackle these questions and narrow your thought process so it's not a back and forth and unsure. You need to build that confidence, which is number 3. You need to build confidence through targeted practice from reliable resources like the Learning Liaisons. There are a lot of good resources out there, but unfortunately, a lot of them are not good because it's like throwing spaghetti at a wall. You ever done that in your kid? A lot of these books just put way too much information, websites, way too much information, and you just go down the dark path of memorization and you fall on your face and you fail. We have a targeted approach here to give you what you need to pass and minimize your time and your money and your energy spent, right? So for more information about how you can clear up the test confusion and get what you need and support you deserve to pass, visit us on our website. It's on the screen. It's in the description of this video below, thelearningliaisons.com. And always remember, as we sign off here, our little saying here, it's when you pass, not if you pass. You guys have a great rest of your day, an amazing Friday, a rock star weekend, and we'll catch you on the next video.